What's up, big dog?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Another day. Had a meeting with the supervisors today for a management position.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, just finished up I'm a little bit further past my 90-day review, but they've got positions available for shift coordinators and kind of like a field training officer.
Okay.
So it was cool. You ever come down to this part of town?
Yeah, I've been down here a few times. Haven't been here in a while though.
Yeah. This is probably like our company, everything is separated in the districts, right? So this is probably one of my favorite districts to work just because it's so walkable. So this district is just like a huge square, like a 2 mile by 2 mile square. And you can park here at the Union Bank Tower like we just did. And it's just real easy to walk it. Everything is real easy to find. Like clearly it's all out here in the open. So this is one of my favorite districts to work. And I'm a huge coffee fan. There's no shortage of coffee shops in this area too. You like coffee?
I do, on occasion. I'm not a, terminal drinker.
I am what you call a terminal drinker. Yeah. So these locations that are down here, aside from like general security, making sure that people aren't loitering on the property, most of what we do is just making sure that they're secure and then responding to calls. Just like any of the properties that we have, there's a response aspect where if something gets out of control, someone's being belligerent, there's any sort of issues, they can call into dispatch and then we'll send out a response unit. And if you're working in that specific district, you're responsible for responding. So
what exactly are you doing right now?
So we have an online application that runs through our phone. Basically, the locations that are in the portfolio, you hit that at a certain time, take pictures of the location. Here in downtown, making sure that the windows aren't smashed is one of the biggest issues because clearly that's an issue here in Portland. Like if you look over here into this little alcove here, making sure that people aren't in the alcove, that there's no graffiti or damage to the building, things like that. So on this app, we just upload the photos. You do a patrol log to make sure that you were here. It annotates the time that you were here, annotates that you did your patrol. If it's an abandoned property or if it's a locked property, clearly you're going to be checking the doors, just basic security stuff. But more than anything, down here in the downtown area, it's going to be making sure that the windows are intact, making sure there's no graffiti, and then making sure that there's no one that's loitering on the property. And then other properties, they might be a little bit more in depth. Some of our properties, you actually have to go in, make contact with the client, ask questions about how their day is going, if they're having any issues that need to be addressed. There's definitely a customer service component to what we do. But a lot of times the locations are static locations or just locations like this, I think the biggest thing here with Echelon downtown is just having a presence. We've talked about this before, that community policing model where in the past you would have law enforcement officers on every corner kind of walking around, talking to people, dealing with issues as they pop up, interacting with businesses. And this is no shade or shot at Portland Police Bureau. They just don't have the manpower to do that. So private security has really taken a lot of that on. Definitely with Echelon, that's one thing that we do. We're on foot, we're in the area, you're working that district, people see us out here. And I feel really good about that. The fact that if people are shopping over here at Nordstrom's or if somebody's over here at Starbucks, they see somebody in uniform and they know that there's somebody out here. I take a lot of pride in that, Speaking of coffee, I think it's time for some coffee.
Sounds good.
Let's do it. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. Hi, how are you? Good. I'm gonna do a tall Americano over ice with a extra shot of espresso, please. I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that black, please. You know, it's crazy how much like we're in such an age where everyone's being recorded. You're constantly being tracked by your social media, your cell phone, right? Like we're more connected than ever before, but people are so self-conscious and aware of like if someone's filming them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, privacy is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of, we're clinging to what we got left.
Yeah.
CCTV, body cameras, influencers, it's all over the place.
Do you ever watch those First Amendment audit videos where people like go in specifically to like a public taxpayer funded building, like maybe they'll go to a post office or a government building and they'll walk in with their cell phone? Like a DMV is a big one. They'll go to a DMV and people immediately will be like, you can't record in here, you can't film. And the people are like, oh, there's a camera right there, there's a camera right there. And it's like, what's different? And they'll be like, well, why do you think that you can film us, but we can't film you? Like, you're in the commission of your duties, For those who are working in security, a really important tidbit and important fact for that is that you need to always think about that in your daily interactions with people, whether that's with the client, with the customer. Here in Portland, the homeless community, I tell people, those are our customers. People don't think that. And so in interacting with people on a daily basis, regardless of what that situation is that's put me in proximity to that person, I have to be aware that I'm being recorded, people are watching, people are listening. And a lot of times that autonomy of a security guard that's just walking around in public like this, they don't think about that.
Also think about what you're representing.
I'm sorry?
Think about what you're representing.
100%.
On your gear, you're representing your company.
That was one of the questions that came up in the conversation today for the management promotion. It was like, do you understand the importance of ownership? Like, what does that mean to you? And that's one of the things that I said is that, hey, I'm not just representing myself. I'm representing the company. I'm representing the industry of security. I'm representing, leadership here in town. Like it's not just about me, and a lot of times guards don't understand that, how important that is.
Yep. So this gym you go to for, what is it again?
Jiu-jitsu.
Okay, so you do jiu-jitsu. Would there be any chance that we could swing by there and kind of see how it rolls?
Yeah, we could probably make that happen. The gym is it's an interesting location because it's one of the original MMA schools here in Oregon. So
no way.
In the early 2000s when UFC was just getting popular, this gym started, and it was a guy named Matt Lindland, who is an Olympian, 2000 silver medalist, and then he ultimately went on to be one of the Olympic wrestling coaches. So he started this program along with a guy named Chael Sonnen, who's very famous for being from West Lynn, a fighter by the name of Randy Couture, a fighter by the name of Dan Henderson. So this gym was kind of a central location where all of these just early UFC fighters started and came from, and it's awesome to be able to train in that location and just be around all these, Hall of Famers, not that they're all there, but just be in that same location, you know what I mean?
No, that's awesome.
And so it's just crazy to be in an environment at my age and my kind of beginner skill level to be in such a hallowed ground. So yeah, man, I would love to have you come out and meet the coaches and potentially get a chance to see what I do when I work out there and talk about it a little bit more. I wish that more private security guards would see the importance of doing something like this. I'm not saying they necessarily have to do jujitsu. That seems to be the
Right, but like pursue martial arts in any form.
Yeah, pursue anything. Martial arts, wrestling. Hey, if it's CrossFit, you know, just getting active and pushing yourself to a point to where you are understanding the importance of being able to protect yourself and handle stress.
Right. Well, I say martial arts in particular because it's like, you know, I know personally a couple of security guards who I grew up with, and they became security guards, and you know, they got a little bit of an invulnerability complex. You know, they put on the armor, they put on the weapon, and they're like, all right, I'm the macho guy.
Yeah.
But they've never been trucked by like a 300-pound man.
Absolutely,
So, you know, it's...
You know, when I first started, oddly enough, how everything goes full circle, when I worked for the other company, one of the security guards that worked there, a guy a little bit older than me, his name is Dave Hagen. Dave Hagen actually trained at Team Quest with all those guys that I just named back in the early 2000s, and currently he's a referee and a judge for UFC.
Wow.
So when I first started working for the other company, I sat down with him and he said the exact same thing. Hey, you should get into you know, mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, and he didn't really have a dog in the fight as to where I took the classes, but he said something that really stuck with me. He goes, if you're not comfortable protecting yourself without a firearm, you're more likely to go to it when you don't need it.
Yep.
And a lot of times, you know, you have to be honest with what we're doing. The moment of transparency. A lot of people who get into private security either A, want to be a police officer, B, can't be a police officer, or C, used to be a police officer. And those three people, that's a bad combination if you're not comfortable and self-confident and self-aware. Because the guy who's working in private security who wants to be a police officer and isn't, he can overreact. The guy who wants to be a police officer and can't, he can overreact. The guy that used to be a police officer and isn't, he can overreact. If either of those three people aren't self-confident, aren't comfortable in their own skin, and don't feel that they can handle the situation without escalating to this has to be the absolute last option. And it can't be if you don't have any other options, whether that's de-escalating something or dealing with something which is trans.